Welcome back. We hope you had a moment to get coffee or your other drink of choice and are ready to get back into our discussions. The theme for the second panel is the roles and obstacles of tourism and cultural policies in driving international exchange. We are pleased to have Ms. Doden again as moderator for the panel, and I'll now turn the time over to her to introduce the panelists and lead the discussion.
Thank you. So welcome back to the panel, everybody. Thank you for continuing to stay on. I would like to start the panel 2, which would last for about 50 minutes, 10 minutes shorter than our first panel. So I have to be very mindful of the time. The title of the topic of this second panel is Tourism and Cultural Policies and How They Can Drive International Exchange. And I plan to build our discussion on the conversation we had for the panel 1. So let me first of all introduce our panelists for the panel 2. To my left is Shigeki Murata, the Commissioner of the Japan Tourism Agency at the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism. Thank you for joining. And to his left is Jennifer Aguinaga, the Acting Deputy Assistant Secretary for Travel and Tourism and Acting Director of the National Travel and Tourism Office, International Trade Administration, the U.S. Department of Commerce. You have a long title. And then to her left is Peter Dodge, Director, Public Affairs for Brand USA. Brand USA is America's destination marketing organization with a mission of increasing international visitation to the US. And then to my far left is Masatsugu Odaira, Minister of Public Affairs, Embassy of Japan in the United States since September this year, I believe. So thank you very much for joining this panel. And we had this very interesting and engaging conversation during the panel 1. I wondered if you could share with us some of the candid reactions or personal thoughts that you might have after listening to the panelists highlight the significance of their work and discuss challenges and how they navigate in the time of challenge. Let me begin by asking Mr. Murata. 長官、パネル1のご感想をお聞かせください。
Yes, I am Commissioner Murata. I apologize for speaking in Japanese. But in terms of the panel 1 discussion, there were talks about sisterhood cities or Mansfield Foundation, and each organization had its own initiatives, and I was really able to understand well. And, you know, I was able to see that there are different initiatives, programs at each organization that are not necessarily only on tourism. There are new type of interaction or new type of human-to-human connection that is being promoted. I think that is what I got out of it. And there are, you know, bilateral or multilateral relations. To strengthen those relationships will be done through these human resources that are created through these organizations. And so in terms of the human interaction, that is really the topic of today's conversation. I think these type of initiatives and programs should be continue to grow in the future.
Thank you. From my perspective, it was really great to hear how many organizations there are that are focused on the same goal of promoting people-to-people exchanges. I'm perhaps a little embarrassed to say I was not aware of a lot of these programs. Some of them I've heard of, but it was much better to hear how, from an in-depth perspective, the goals of all of your organizations. From a government point of view, I would say that travel and tourism will continue to be a critical economic driver of growth and employment in the US, but so critical to this is that people-to-people exchange and cultural understanding. I think we heard during the previous panel a lot about cooperation and collaboration, and this needs to be between the government and the private sector. It's great to hear the private sector already working together. I can say the government is already working together, but we need to work together from both perspectives. So I think it's important for the government to be able to lay that critical foundation from a policy perspective to be able to further support these international exchanges in the future.
Okay, thank you. Please, Mr. Tosh.
Thank you. I think that the most important takeaway from that is that diplomacy happens in so many different forms and is so important to the friendship and the relationship that we have with nations across the globe, including our strong friendship with Japan. There can only be, one Secretary of State, one Minister of Foreign Affairs, one ambassador at a time. But there are so many other wonderful ambassadors for our country, for the country of Japan, and so many countries around the world that can interact with each other on a daily basis, on an everyday basis, to further the relationship, the economic ties, and the cultural ties between our two countries. So I'm very, very delighted by the work going on with the colleagues that were up here earlier on panel one.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was so impressed by how broad and how deep the network of our Japan-US exchange organization is, and so many actors involved in that work, and also their attachment and passion for Japan is so extensive. So I was so impressed about that, and also I am so excited to know that we share the common value that the deep personal connection with different cultures and different peoples enrich our lives in countless ways. So we all probably have the same experience. We gain the kind of the new way of thinking to when we connect the new people from the different cultures and different countries. So I think this is a very the deep, great power of the promoting the people-to-people exchange. And so the discussion in the panel one, it reminds me the broad and the robust pool of people are our strong asset. So from the government perspective, we have to think about how we're going to further leverage these ties through the collaboration with them. Thank you.
So true, so true. And we are fortunate to be able to be in the same room today, to be able to spend time discussing on this very important topic. Before we go further in conducting this panel, I would like to ask each one of you to make a short presentation about what you do and what your focus is. I believe Mr. Murata is the first to go. Mr. Murata, presentation.
Yes, so just briefly, I would like to speak about the policy that the tourism agency is promoting currently. But before that, I would like to talk briefly about the data related to what I'm about to talk. And so this shows the inbound and outbound travel markets in Japan. The red line shows the inbound tourists, meaning non-Japanese tourists coming into Japan. And then the purple is for the number of Japanese people going overseas outside of Japan. So the red line, the inbound number, has been steadily been under 10 million. However, about 2010s, the policies have been strengthened, and then the inbound growth took place. And then right before COVID, we surpassed 30 million. Therefore, just a rapid growth was seen in terms of the inbound. Now, with COVID, we reached down to zero. However, last year, we reached 36 million people. So we're really inching towards 40 million tourists into Japan. There's really a growth, a rapid growth in these numbers. On the other hand, in terms of the outbound numbers, before COVID, it was about 37 million. After COVID, we're still struggling to get back to the pre-COVID level. Next page, please. Now it shows the U.S. and Japan relations. The red one is the inbound looking from Japan. So for U.S. Americans, there are more Americans coming to Japan after COVID. So in 2024, there was 2.77 million Americans who came to Japan. So there's a 33% growth year over year. And this year, until October, there's already 27.3 million. Therefore, we are just surpassing last year's growth. So Japan is a quite popular tourist destination. On the other hand, for outbound from Japan to going overseas, just as I mentioned earlier, in the overall growth, we're still in the 1 million level. So this is the area that we need to still grow. Next page, please. And here, I'd like to talk about Japan's current tourism policies. There is something called the basic policy, and I apologize for the small font, but this is made in 2023, a 3-year plan. And so if you can see in the boxes area, basically from the recovery from after COVID is somewhat of a goal that we have set forth, and therefore we're trying to achieve main goals. There are namely sustainable tourism, and also to expand tourist spending, and also to promote regional tourism. So these are the 3 pillars. And so this is the policy until 2025, and we're currently working on the future plan. Next slide. So I apologize again for these small text, but the biggest problem is, if you can look into the right side, what is being discussed currently is that we are calling it policy pillars. So if you look at the very top of this table, there is a very rapid growth of the inbound tourists. And then there are many domestic issues that are accompanied by this growth, which is called over-tourism. So the local people are being affected by this excessive level of tourism. Therefore, we need to strike a really good balance. And this is an area where the next 5-year policy is going to focus on. And so for us, while we still grow the inbound numbers, we still need to balance out with the everyday lives of the local residents in Japan. That is all from me.
Would you like to go ahead, Jennifer?
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to be with you here today. As you heard from my very long title, I represent the National Travel and Tourism Office, which is in the U.S. Department of Commerce's International Trade Administration. So we have a very unique role within the federal government. We serve as the main point of contact for all travel and tourism policy and research. Our office is working on initiatives to advance progress under our U.S. National Travel and Tourism Strategy, which has the goal of welcoming 90 million international visitors to the United States by 2027. So under this strategy, we are focused on strengthening the competitiveness of the United States as an international travel destination, and also with welcoming a record number of international visitors to the U.S. to see everything we have to offer, including our people. So to achieve these goals, we have a couple of different vehicles. First, one of the activities of our office, as I mentioned, is to produce the official data on international visitation and spending in the United States. So that means we collect information on the characteristics of international travelers, where they go in the United States, and also the impact of tourism on jobs and GDP. So this information helps us underscore within the national government the economic importance of the travel and tourism industry, and it also provides critical intelligence to the private sector and other stakeholders to help them make decisions about which markets they should be going to. According to our office data, each year travel and tourism supports 10 million American jobs through 2.6 trillion of economic activity. So although we are here talking about cultural exchanges, we cannot underscore enough the economic importance of travel and tourism as well. For the second vehicle, we lead coordination across the federal government through an entity called the Tourism Policy Council. This is chaired by our Secretary of Commerce, and this vehicle ensures a whole-of-government approach to growing American jobs and the economy through travel and tourism. Travel and tourism, as we all know, covers dozens of sectors and cross-cutting issues, and so many of the equities are spread out across the federal government. So, for example, the Department of State handles visa issues, Homeland Security, border entry, Interior for national parks, and so on. So it's our role in the Department of Commerce to ensure that we are all working together to create the safest, most secure, and most enjoyable experience for visitors to our country. And this Tourism Policy Council is what supports the coordination across the various agencies under the National Travel and Tourism Strategy. Another vehicle that I would like to highlight is our work with Brand USA, our good friend over here to my left. This is our official duty under the Travel Promotion Act, and we work together on key initiatives as we both have the same goal of increasing international visitation and spending across the US. Also, we do have a formal mechanism to gain consensus advice from the industry, which is called our Travel and Tourism Advisory Board. This board provides critical private sector inputs for the Secretary of Commerce and through the Tourism Policy Council to support the growth and competitiveness of the industry. But beyond the board, we also make a huge effort to maintain close relationships with travel and tourism stakeholders on a regular basis, destinations, trade associations, etc. This is really important as it helps us to stay informed on issues where the US government can be helpful to industry and also identify new opportunities for public-private sector collaboration. The final vehicle I will quickly mention is that we represent the US government in many multilateral fora on tourism issues, so the APEC Tourism Working Group, the OECD Tourism Committee, and the G20 Tourism Working Group. We attend these meetings to ensure that US interests are considered in this consensus decision-making, but it's also an amazing opportunity to learn from other countries like Japan, how they are addressing key challenges like in travel and tourism, and how they're also benefiting from new opportunities. So I will leave it there, and thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dodge, please.
Thank you, and good evening, and it's such an honor to be here with you representing Brand USA, the destination marketing organization for the United States. Brand USA was created by the United States Congress in 2010 to promote the United States as a world-class destination. We're funded through a combination of private sector funding and international traveler fees that allow us to operate at no cost to the American taxpayer while delivering significant economic results to communities across our country. Our mission is straightforward. We inspire international visitors by sharing the richness and variety of travel experiences across the United States, and in turn, we create economic prosperity in communities across the country. We work closely with our friends in the United States government and destinations in all 50 states, the 5 territories, and the District of Columbia. We also work with travel brands, attractions, and global trade partners across the globe. Through marketing and storytelling, cutting-edge digital platforms, and trade engagement, our goal is to help travelers discover everything that the U.S. has to offer. And at the center of our work is the belief that holds true across all cultures. The most meaningful part of travel is the people that you meet along the way. While many visitors may come to the America they think they know, they often return home with a new sense of love for this country, after having an everyday experience like a chat with a local business owner, or a fabulous meal at a mom-and-pop restaurant, or discovering a small town or a scenic byway that took their breath away. These personal moments shape how people feel about the United States long after their trip ends. These unique experiences are the focus of our new global campaign, America the Beautiful, that launched just last month in key markets, including Japan. While all of this feels good, it's also real economic impact for our country. Since our founding, Brand USA has helped welcome more than 10 million additional visitors, whose travel has generated tens of billions of dollars in spending and supported tens of thousands of Americans' jobs each year. This strengthens local economies across the country and ensures that tourism remains a vital part of American prosperity. But beyond the economics, international travel strengthens people-to-people connections. Every visitor becomes a storyteller when they go home and share what they experienced, who they met, and what they discovered. In that way, tourism becomes a bridge between nations, helping build outstanding and long-lasting relationships. Brand USA exists to highlight the breadth of the American travel experience, to encourage visitors to explore both our iconic sites and everyday life, and to create opportunities for genuine interaction between travelers and the American people. We deeply value the long history of friendship with Japanese travelers, and as we look into 2026, we look forward to welcoming so many more in the years to come.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for the JTTRI and the GT for having me today, and it's a very great honor to be here with a distinguished guest. And I represent the Embassy of Japan here in Washington, D.C. today. And we have one embassy and 17 consulate generals or consulate office all across the United States. And I believe our mission of the public affairs is to encourage Americans to develop the stronger interest in Japan and foster more deeper understandings and trust and a sense of closeness to Japan, and which creates circumstances that allows our diplomacy to be carried out more smoothly or more effectively. And as Ambassador Yamada describes elegantly, President Trump visits Japan is of great success. And we shouldn't forget that this robust relationship between Japan and the United States is not solely an outcome of government-to-government ties. It is upheld by the multi-layered people-to-people ties through personal exchanges and mutual trust between the people of Japan and the United States. So that is the reason why the people-to-people exchange matters, and that is the reason why we as the embassy prioritize this greatly. And when we look at how Americans view Japan right now, things are overwhelmingly positive. So according to the latest polls, about 90% of Americans have a favorable view of Japan. So this is all because of the Japanese cuisine or anime or other like athletes, Otani or Yamamoto. And these are the very contributors to our soft powers. But at the same time, we shouldn't take it for granted. So our continuous efforts should be necessary. And again, the cultural exchange and the mutual trust are rooted in the people, not something made up the government or politics. So having said that, we embassy definitely have a role that only can play. So I think we have 3 strong points maybe we can good at. That one is we have a wide network and broader representative all across the United States. And the second is we have a convening power to get people together among the different groups. And I think third one is we can help to create some momentum or make an attractive story that the people want to join. So like 250th anniversary of the United States, and we present 250 cherry blossom trees as a gift. So that is kind of our strong point. So I'm very looking forward to today's discussion with further discuss this point. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to draw your attention to some of the questions that were submitted by the registered participants. One that dealt with the enhancing the people-to-people connection and programs. He or she asks, what are some programs or initiatives that you would consider to be most beneficial to further cross-cultural understanding and communication currently? I understand that this question means that in your respective countries, do you identify any policies or initiatives that go to expand people-to-people exchange? Would you be able to specify or share with us some of the examples? This question goes to, firstly, to Ms. Aguinaga. Please, Jennifer.
Sure, thank you so much. Yeah, people-to-people exchange is definitely a priority under our national travel and tourism strategy. I think one perfect example of this is the US-Japan Tourism Year, which just finished this March. This, we would say, was a huge success and a perfect example of the type of exchange that continues to be needed. This was a whole of government effort. It was initiated by our ambassador who was in Japan at the time. And Ricky is nodding her head, and I know she probably knows well about this initiative because I know that of the 400 and so sister city relationships the US and Japan have, over 200 of those held events under the banner of the US-Japan Tourism Year. And so I think what is so special about initiatives like this is that it provides an opportunity. The government is laying the foundation, but providing an opportunity for businesses, destinations, communities at all levels to take part in this. So there's no barrier to entry. It's just almost a huge celebration of US-Japanese culture. And Brand USA may want to add on, they were an integral part of this initiative. They even created a logo, which was amazing.
What is it like?
Would you like me to describe? It's
Please,
red and
no
blue,
visual,
and it was a beautiful logo, and it was great to work in partnership with our government partners to engage the travel industry in this endeavor in the US-Japan Tourism Year. And throughout the course of the year, we did a lot of wonderful things, especially as it relates to engaging the Japanese travel trade, the tour operators and travel agents, together with United States destinations and travel businesses to give exposure to new destinations that might not be top of mind for the Japanese traveler. And so by engaging our US destinations, bringing them to Tokyo for sales missions, engaging travel agents with trainings, we're really broadening the perspective that so many different people, whether you're a destination here in the United States who's getting their feet wet for the first time in the Japanese market, or a Japanese tour operator saying, aha, I think that I can develop product for locations that aren't necessarily part of a typical Japanese itinerary. And by doing that, we're able to bring so many different people closer together in those people-to-people exchanges, and getting outside of the notion that every trip has to be an opportunity to take pictures of iconic places, but to really have an authentic American experience while you're here in this country, get off the beaten path a little bit, and really take a valuable memory and experience home with you to share with your neighbors and hopefully come back again and again.
次、村田長官に伺いますけれども、質問の中で、現在異文化理解や交流を促進する上で最も有益だとお考えのプログラムや取り組みはどのようなものですかという質問がありました。観光との接点もあるとは思うんですけれども、人材交流、国際理解を促進するような
Yes, and there was a talk about the US and Japan Tourism Year. But you see, for me, based on my own personal experience, when you're young, to be exposed to, overseas culture, or to be exposed to just a different, foreign aspect of anything, I think that speaks volume. So, for instance, for high school students or middle school students to travel overseas as a school trip, which have more of like a training program overseas. I think these are areas that can be fostered further. And so these are areas where the government can, cooperate financially. And that's how the people of the nation can further their understanding of other countries.
The Japanese embassy here has a kind of a cultural outpost in town where you do get immersed in Japanese culture. Would you be able to elaborate on it a little?
Thank you very much. Yes, we have JICC, the Japan Information and Cultural Center, separate from the embassy. This is mainly, we have lots of events such as lectures, movies, or exhibitions about Japanese culture time to time. So this is a very good deliberation for the Japanese culture. And also, our strong point is a convening power. So in that sense, we very often have a reception as the ambassador's residence to get people together. And also, and then the convening power means, I think, the two ways. The one is the horizontal way, so get people together across the region or between the different groups which are related to the involved, engaging to the Japan-U.S. people-to-people exchange. But also, we have to engage, connect the people vertically. That means beyond the generation. So more introduce more young people to local society and create refresh the activities, and from the young generation viewpoint, we can have that kind of support. Yeah.
I would like to draw your attention to some of the recommendations made during the panel one from the panelists on the tourism and culture policies. I wonder if there are any initiatives that respond to their views and recommendations. I think one of it was over tourism and how we deal with it, whether we can learn from, whether Japan can learn lessons from, I mean, whether the US can provide any lessons to Japan, or how do we deal with that. And there was also a recommendation that there should be like early exposure, which Mr. Murata had eloquently referred to. I wonder if our panelists have any insights that you might want to share with regards to their recommendation on any of the issues. Maybe Mr. Doge and Mr. Aguinaga.
Sure. I think that it's important to meet travelers where they're at. I know many of this room are probably very intellectually curious and do a lot of research before they go on a trip. I myself love to watch YouTube videos and learn everything that I can about a place before I actually go. Not every traveler operates in that same way. So I think that it's important for destinations, whether that's going to be a municipality or a national government, does its best to meet people where they're at, perhaps even through signage or programs when people are there in the country. To make sure that they know what the best cultural practices are. And visitor dispersion is also a very important part of that as well. So making sure that your travel inspiration through marketing contains kind of off the beaten sites as well, not just those popular most main attractions in the biggest of cities. And that's something that Brand USA does every day, making sure that all 5 territories, the 50 states, and DC get equal love amongst our tourism marketing product. Next year, when we have FIFA World Cup, there are 11 American host cities. Not everyone traveling to the games is going to be able to stay in those 11 cities themselves. And we certainly want people to get out onto the open road while they're here to experience the games, to see all of the wonderful things that are around those cities. So we're making sure that people have the information and the confidence and the resources to get around while they're here in the States, and really inspiring them to visit the places that are 3, 6 hours away from these host cities, so that they can actually get a hotel room, but also to really enjoy the sights, enjoy the people, enjoy a beautiful meal, and experience that real American culture that you can only get once you get outside of those gateways.
And I would just build a little bit on what Peter was saying. I think we're definitely on the same wavelength. From the government perspective, the answer is not to limit tourism, as obviously, as I said at the beginning, one of the things we're trying to do is to attract as much international visitation as possible. This creates a lot of economic impact and American jobs, but we need to try to spread the tourism around the countries to the many areas that would appreciate the economic, cultural, and social benefits that come along with it. So, for example, there will always be certain national parks that an international visitor wants to see for the first time. And it's going to be hard to market away from an international visitor seeing Yellowstone or something like that. But in the same trip, perhaps the visitor who is going to New York or Los Angeles could also go to an off the beaten track destination. And that's definitely where Brand USA comes in, helping to create these itineraries that include some of these other destinations. And then also, as Peter was saying, these travelers, they see these new destinations and they go back to their home country and they spread it by word of mouth, and pretty soon, the number of destinations are expanding that international visitors want to see. But then on the other side, we also need to support tourism businesses across the country in these new and emerging destinations, so that the tourism product is ready for these international visitors. And in the Department of Commerce, we do have commercial services office across the country who can help these new businesses who are looking to engage in tourism find the markets that work best for them.
Mm-hmm. Could you perhaps comment a bit on what benefits or ripple effects just beyond the economy?
I mean, I think we've been talking about it all evening or all afternoon, honestly. Just the benefits that come from this cultural to cultural exchange, people to people exchange. This is really what enables us to build this economic benefit and these diplomatic relations. I think, as one of the ambassadors was saying earlier, we cannot have these bilateral relations without this type of cultural exchange. I've been in the government for a long time. I've been in the tourism office for over a decade, and I've been through many administrations, many political situations. But what holds true for me is that tourism is always popular across the board. It is always seen as something that is positive and something that should be continued no matter what the relationship is.
私、オーバーツーリズムなどについていかがでしょうか。その他の点でも結構ですけど。
Can you talk about over tourism? Yes. So in Japan, also, Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto are really the major tourist destination. But there are other regions such as Hokkaido, Tohoku, Shikoku, Kyushu. These are other regions that are also good destinations. So these are the areas, or there's still some hidden gems. And I think that these are the areas where we really would like to invite more tourists to these regions. And these are the initiatives that we have. And then the important thing is to really facilitate the transportation. You need to make sure that people can really go to these various, non-major destinations. So if we need to have infrastructures, major road infrastructure to these different regions, or other transportation infrastructure. So by doing so, we are undergoing these initiatives so that the tourists can easily access various destinations. And then there was a reference earlier. There are different concerns that is associated in the tourism. Now, in Japan, we did talk about over-tourism a little bit earlier, but from some parts of the regions, there are some that raise concerns because of the over tourism. But while we are trying to aim towards 60 million inbound, there are some that raise concern towards that high number. So, and of course, this isn't some problem that we must deal with. And it is not to say that we're going to stop. We were going to tell people people from outside of Japan to stop coming. That is not our intention. But of course, we still would like to welcome more and more tourists from overseas while we work on the issues that exist. And also, the economic impact just goes without saying. But also, there are other impacts, such as the local people to really understand the local characteristics of where they live. While people from overseas are interested in their regions, they rediscover the attraction of the localities that they live in. So I think that is what I believe.
Our panel, and this will probably be my last question to all of you. In the first panel, as well as during the keynote speeches, there has been mentioned that the two leaders of the United States and Japan have reaffirmed their commitment to jointly celebrate key events like 250 years of American independence next year, or the 2028 Los Angeles Olympic Games and Paralympic Games, which you have referred to as well. And there'll be more international events that are in the pipeline, which I believe would be the catalyst for expanding tourism and cultural exchange. I wonder if each and every one of you would be able to share with us once again how those events can be leveraged, because events alone do not produce much, I believe. It has to be a continuous effort. So, Mr. Odaira, please. We work in this direction.
Thank you very much. Yes, you're right. Next year is at 250, America 250. How are we going to celebrate? And we are deeply discussing right now. And I think the message is so important. And this young cherry blossom trees will fully in bloom in the future. So next generation will enjoy that cherry blossom tree. So I think this cherry blossom trees are a gift to the United States as well as to the next generation between the two countries. So we're going to make that kind of story to engage the private sectors to join make some events. That is one of the way. And the other is, for instance, the World Cup and the WBC Baseball Classic. And these sports event is a very good chance to connect between the people, like going to watch the game and the cheering, and also spotlight also falls into the behavior of Japanese fans, like cleaning the locker or picking up some trashes or something like that. So, very good chance to connect the people in hearts. So, I will continue to further explore the best way to maximize that effect. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tosh.
Again, I think that traveler dispersion that's going to naturally occur because of the FIFA World Cup is going to be such a great opportunity for travelers from across the globe to experience parts of America they never dreamed of going to, let alone knew existed. And so once people are kind of forced to go visit their team in a place like a St. Louis or a Texas or a place that they haven't been, and they taste that Texas barbecue, they hear some country music, they get to line dance themselves, that's going to be so much fun and an opportunity for them to share that experience with their friends, their neighbors, and again, be those repeat customers to places that they wouldn't typically go to. On the America 250 front, Brand USA has a strong partnership with that commission and is essentially the messaging arm for the international visitors who are either coming to the United States and might happen to visit any one of these national or state-led celebrations, or are coming particularly because they want to be here for these America 250 celebrations. And I think that that's really encouraging too, that people don't necessarily see this as a American-only celebration of revolutionary history, but rather a global celebration of 250 years of American culture and experiences that you can really only have here in the United States. And while you may celebrate them in your own country of origin, you can only have that really true, authentic experience here. And the 250th anniversary is a once-in-a-lifetime event, and so people are going to experience that, cherish that, hold that deep, and remember for a very long time of all the reasons why they do love America and keep coming back and sharing that love with others.
From the government perspective, it has been amazing to see how focused the administration and the national government is at the highest levels on using these events, particularly FIFA as it's the most upcoming, to leverage travel and tourism for economic benefit, for cultural benefit, and American 250 as well. I think the government for, not the first time, but I think it's been a while, as sometimes there is a need to remind people who don't work in tourism and cultural exchange all the time the importance of this type of visitation and interaction. But the government definitely understands that this is an opportunity for our country to showcase our hospitality, our culture, and hopefully incentivize future travel. And really, these type of efforts really need to be done through cooperation at the highest levels, which I said. I mean, the White House is working through a task force which involves all of the government agencies, and there really is a recognition that international travel and tourism and welcoming these visitors is going to be a huge part of these games. We are also I know I'm constantly talking about economic impact and we're here for cultural benefits, but I do think that they go hand in hand. And sometimes we need to make the economic case in order to make the cultural case. So one of the focuses of our office is to measure the economic impact of these games, which will help us think about future events and how we can better support future events, future host destinations in better preparing to host international visitors for these games. And I would also just like to add, I think building a little bit on what you said earlier, although these are global events, the FIFA is anyway, I have been very pleasantly surprised at the interest from other countries in America's 250th birthday. So I think this provides a real opportunity to build bilateral relations and for other countries to showcase their cultures on a global scale. And I really do, I think it acknowledges an awareness and appreciation that culture is important all around. Just the fact that Japan is so focused on America's birthday, I think, is an amazing thing.
And if I may ask a follow-up question, sadly, realistically, we've got to take into consideration some of the disruptions, including like pandemic or natural disaster or terrorism even. How would the US be prepared for those disruptions?
Sure. So I think the U.S. has been preparing for this greatly since the pandemic. We know what the pandemic did to the industry. Luckily, it has recovered. And also, luckily, I think we've learned a lot of lessons since then. I think we learned that we need the infrastructure in place to be able to tackle whatever challenge it will be, because it will probably not be the same. It will probably be something different. So we need to have those mechanisms in place that encourage communications internationally, across governments, across the globe, and with travelers who may be incoming. We need to have those communications channels open, and with destinations. We, the government, need to work closely with the private sector and state and local communities to have those frameworks in place to be able to act on whatever may come our way. So I think we are very well prepared.
Thank you. Murata,
Yes. For Japan, particularly, we are really affected by natural disasters such as earthquakes and, in tsunami and others. But so therefore, we really need to make a robust environment to deal with these issues, and we need to do that from peacetime. For instance, we need to have a good evacuation planning or other plans in case of a major disaster, and then we need to also communicate that outside of a country, including foreign visitors, so that they can understand these plans. And that's how we can deal with any kind of situation, no matter what, as a tourist destination. I think that's how we can gain trust and understanding from other countries as well.
I think our time is almost up. I would like to thank the panelists for the second panel for your contribution, and also the panelists for the first panel, in which we got to know the accumulation of the vast experience and expertise over the decades that were made the most of in devising and implementing international exchange programs. And on this panel, it was about implementing the policies to advance tourism and international exchange. And I learned that international exchange is also about trust and building a durable US-Japan relationship into the future. And I think the audience today would agree with me that we're very fortunate to have had the opportunity to have representatives both from the civil society and the government sharing with us their views and insights, come together like this and jointly discuss both the challenges and the potential for both countries. So thank you very much. I do hope that this symposium was part of that joint endeavor too. Thank you very much. Please give a big applause to our panelists.